So, good evening, guys. How are you? Hope you're all fine. So, welcome to this third session of Java. In this session, we are going to discuss basics about control statement, and we are going to discuss first of all ternary operator. Then we are going to discuss about switch cases. Then we are going to discuss about while loop. Then we are going to discuss about do while and for loop. So this is our flow for today's lecture. I hope that you would guys enjoy it a lot. And
Oh,
so
good shit हो गया.
camera fall.
कोई कोई नहीं.
My camera fall. My camera fall from the tripod.
Yeah, कोई
Okay.
problem नहीं. Fine.
Yeah. So before beginning this session, as always, I want you guys to comment your questions about the previous lecture or anything else. And first 10 minutes we're going to do that, and next we're going to move on to a course. All right. So comment down if you have any questions or anything.
I think today's session is not so much good response from the students. But wait, we will wait.
What?
We will wait. Okay, hello sir. Hello Deepika. सर
Hi,
आपके फैन
Deepika.
फॉलोइंग अच्छी है सर.
Wow.
सर लग तो रहा है सर वैसे आज फैन फॉलोइंग तरह क्या अच्छी है. ओ 7 लाइक. ओके ओके.
Great, 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 great.
We are still waiting. Okay. Hello, Rad sir. Okay. Hi, Kyle. अजी सर की डिमांड ज्यादा है. सब सर 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 कर रहे हैं. सर आप भी कुछ बोल लो जनता को. जनता आपसे जवाब मांग रही है सर.
Hi, guys. Actually, I'm waiting for questions.
Okay, you are waiting for the questions. So I think
Yeah. And more the doubts, that means they're learning. And
yeah,
Amit, I must appreciate your community Paradox Alpha. I mean, the doubts that I'm getting from your community, especially your members, are they're fantastic, and the assignment solutions, they're just awesome, man. And I really appreciate your community and your work.
thanks bro. ये तो सब कम्युनिटी का मुंह आया है स्टूडेंट्स की. I think
What?
so. Good evening, Rad sir. I think
Good evening, guys. Okay, should we begin? Hi, hello. Amit,
yeah. So we start a session right now. I
yeah,
think
I guess, yeah. Uh,
yeah.
Guys, if you, again, those who just joined, and if you have any questions, you can ask me right now.
Okay. Good evening, Pankaj. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Rohan. Good evening, Pankaj. Hi.
I think we will start the session, and
Yeah, okay.
after that we can get some doubts by the students, so that at that time we will stop over there and
Yeah. Cool. No issues, man.
sorry.
Okay, so in previous lecture we studied about if else and nested if else and basic operations and basic assignments with if else, right? And so in today's lecture we are going to go a little bit further. We are going to use ternary operator for our conditional and control statements, right? And then later on we are going to use switch cases, and I'm going to tell you why you should use ternary operator, when you should use ternary operator, switch case, or if else, right? Okay, so yeah, Priya, hello. Okay, so let me just first share my screen. Amit, bring me on in a front end. I'm on backstage in my laptop. Yeah, cool, cool. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about ternary operator. Basically what ternary operator is it is the question mark that you see, right? So when you have just one condition, right, and one condition, and there's just two expressions to it. Either if it's true, then expression one would be evaluated, or expression two would be evaluated, right? So and when you have only two options, then ternary operator is used, right? And rather than going for if else, ternary is preferred. But if you have multiple options, and let's say you are designing a grading system, right? So then if else is preferred. But if you are deciding whether which number is greater amongst the two, then ternary operator is more preferred. It's just one line code rather than giving the compiler whole box of if else. In this ternary operator you can just write one line of code, right? So the syntax of this is, like in if else, what was the syntax in if else? If the condition and then the statements, right? If the condition was met, and then else, and then the condition, right? But in ternary operator, there is one condition, then there is a ternary operator in a that's question mark, then there is expression one, then there is in a colon, and then there is expression two, right? This right over here, this is the basic syntax, but now let's use it in compiler, right? So open your compiler. I'm using IntelliJ. You can use any compiler you want, again, and it doesn't matter, right? So in IntelliJ, I have been bound by declaring a package called com.company, right? If you're using any other compiler, it's not necessary that you define this. Or if you're using Notepad and compiling it on the command prompt, then this is going to give you an error, right? So keep that in mind while you are doing a practice. Okay, so and first of all, in this in this code, I hope that you are able to see. And Amit, are they able to see my code? Are you able to see my code properly? Amit,
So this is fine. I think Krishna bro, if
yeah,
you are using which IDE? Okay. You are using that
I'm
one.
using Intelli. I'm
Okay,
using
that's
IntelliJ.
fine right now.
It's fine. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine right
And I
now.
keep
Yeah.
and I try to keep resolution over 360 and above 360, right? Okay, so in this program, this code is basically about deciding whether the number given is even or odd. We did the same code with if else, and now we are doing it with in a ternary operator, right? So this over here is our in a main thing that we need to focus on right now, and on this condition, right? So here you would see that I have given the compiler a condition over here, right? So this condition is basically n modulus 2, and if the n modulus 2, that means the remainder of n divided by 2 would be 0, then if this condition is true, then the first thing that is before the colon, that is even, right? So even would be given, pass the value as str, that is a string which I have defined right over here, right? So a string is basically defined just like an class or an object, because it, right? So if this condition is true, it is even, right? If this condition is false, then the second thing would be printed, the second expression, that is odd, right? So let's run this code first of all. Okay, so it's asking me a number. Let's say 25, right? So 25 is an odd. So it is basically what I have done here is, and I have created a string again, right? In that string, I have given a condition, right? Through ternary operator, using ternary operator. In that, if an n divided by 2, n can be created, it is an integer over here, and I have in a passed value through in a scanner class, right? So if the in a condition is met, that is n divided by 2 gives an remainder 0, then even is printed, or else odd is printed, right? So in a using this in a code is being made. Now let's try it again. Let's type 12, right? 12 is an even, we all know that. But is it the program is working fine? Let's test that, right? So the number is even, it's testing perfectly, right? But now let's test some special test cases, right? So whenever you're programming, my in a basic advice is that you first of all design a algorithm before coding, design an algorithm, and then you decide test cases. If you're programming, or if you're doing competitive programming on hacker rank gives you on a test inbuilt test cases, and through the test cases it basically tests your code. So you do the same thing, try different test cases, right? So in this program, what are my test cases? I can have basically three test cases. That would be the n number which I'm taking from the user. It can be even, that is one test case. Second test case, the n number that I'm being that are taken from user, that could be odd. Third test case can be the number given is 0, right? So my program should run in all three test cases. So I have run for 2, let's run for the third one, 0, and it is saying the number is even, right?
Wait,
So because,
Krishna.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, there is a screen problem again.
There
So
is a
can you copy this code and paste in Notepad, and after that you can zoom that code with Control Plus,
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that.
because there's a blur. Because some are not in that much network area, no?
Yes. No issues, no issues.
You can guide them with a Notepad, and after that you can run that code
Yeah,
over here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
no,
No issues.
Control Plus. So use Control. No. You use
I
Control
I
Plus.
use Control Plus. I used
Yes.
it, but it's not working in my system. No, that's why. That was the
In
problem in
Notepad
previous
it's
session.
work.
No, it's not. I tried it right now. It's not working. I'm
Okay.
trying it again now.
Okay. Yeah. So
Okay,
it is
so
fine right now. Hello.
yeah,
Okay. I think it's fine right now. So okay.
okay.
Continue.
Okay.
Listen.
Right. So, and this was the basic code about in a ternary operator. Now let's take another example. Right. If you guys have any question in this code, please ask. Okay. What is string args? String args is inbuilt in a string that is been defined when we are calling main method, right? Is it parameter? I'm not understanding your question. Please. No, no. See, when you call, yeah, it's kind of a parameter. And when you call main method, so in main method you have to define one string already, right? before you do anything, and you have to define one string already. So that's why we use a string args, right? So it's basically a string with name args, and the basic string is it stores value. So yeah, it stores character basically. Okay, one more doubt was there. Is the difference between equals and equal to in Java? Actually, no, there is not any difference. It basically is about memory allocation, and both are same. Equals to is a method, right? And equal to is in a basic your operator. Okay, so let's take another example of this ternary operator. You guys can find this examples on our GitHub. The link is I'm going to share this link right now. You can find all these examples over there. It's all available. Even the assignment solutions are available, but I prefer that you do assignments on your own first, then you go and copy assignments, or you're write your own, right? Okay, so next, yeah, start sharing. I would run this code over this compiler. Again, Amit, I'm again on backstage. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amit. Okay, so I'm going to run this code on this a compiler first. Then I'm going to show it to you on Notepad so that it's visible for you guys. Right. So what this basic code is, it's comparing two numbers, and it's giving whether which number is greater or not. So the most basic thing, and I have decided and given a variable max, right? And there is an integer n. I'm not building this program as user defined, and then the n has 250 and has a number 250, m as 50, right? So I have to define and declare a max, right? So in order to do that, and what I did was, I used ternary operator, or rather than using if else. So first of all, the condition is if n is greater than m, right? Then print n,
I
or
think
else
Prashant,
print
okay,
m. Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, sorry,
Krishna
sorry, sorry,
and
sorry, sorry, sorry. Yes,
Baba Baba.
yes. Sorry, I forgot. Thanks, Amit, for reminding me. Okay, is it visible now? Is Amit, is it visible
Yeah,
now?
yeah. It's
Okay, okay, cool. Okay, so again, I have defined in a variable max, right? It's an integer, right? And we have two variables over here. And two variables are n and m. N has been given value 250, and m has been given value 50, right? Now I have to declare max. I have declared max, but I have to now give max something, right? So in order to do that, I have used ternary operator over if else. That is when n is greater than m, right? When n is greater than m, then print n, or print m. If this condition is false, then print m, right? So in a whichever condition, when this in a condition is evaluated, then the value is stored in max, right? Let's suppose it was not 250, it was 25, right? So if this condition is true, this condition is true, yes, or no, it's not true. So am would be given, right? So a value of am would be stored in max, and then I am commanding the command prompt to print this max, right? So this value of m is passed to max, and then it's printed. But if it was 250, then this condition would be true, and n would be passed to max, right? Okay, so let's try it with the value 25. Can you guys see the output? Amit, can they see the output?
yeah.
Okay,
It's 15
right.
right
So
now.
out 50, right? So output is 50 because the value of m is 50, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
and any questions on ternary operator? Because ternary, we are done with ternary operator. If you guys have any questions, please ask.
Kishan, I think so. It is a replacement of if else statement. This operator is a replacement of
Yes,
if else.
yes. If you're using, basically, if you're using and for if else for basically just two conditions now, then in two options, then if else is not preferred, because if else would be unnecessarily and increasing your code length. So it's preferred to use ternary operator. It's just one line, short and sweet. That's why ternary operator is preferred over if else when you have only two conditions. But in
Okay, like we have
yeah,
lambda function over there. Hello.
yes.
Because like
I'm listening.
like we have a lambda function over there in Python and Java. In Android, we are using the lambda function. So it short the length of the whole function. I think it is like
Exactly.
a sub part of that.
Yes. Actually, can we use and operator in ternary operator? Yes, you can. Amit, I was saying one thing. Yes, like we discussed that actually the one problem that students face is that Java code is quite lengthy, right? But using these ternary operators and using the methods and suppose let's say random function, random method, random class, right? So when you're using those classes and when you're using those methods and packages which are predefined in Java, then and actually you're working smartly and you're reducing the length of code, right? So people are complaining to me that Java code is quite lengthy. Why should we use Java? Man, Java is developing day by day, and Java has other features, right? So it's preferred to use, in some scenarios it's preferred to use Java because it has some certain features, right? So yeah. Acha, Amit, can
I
you
think we
tell
have
me one
another
thing?
question. Yeah.
Yes, can you tell me actually, I'm not able to see the comments.
What?
I'm
Base?
net is slow, no?
No, no.
Some
So,
call came na, and that's why net got slow.
okay. So another
Can you
question
please
is that
can you please dictate that question?
yeah, can we use and simple and or or operator in ternary method?
Again, I'm not able to hear you. Amit,
Yeah.
I'm not able to hear you, man.
Hello.
Amit,
Yeah, Krishna. Hello. My voice is not clear.
hello.
Yeah, Krishna.
Yes. Your voice is now clear.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got it. I got the question. I got the question now. And so no, you can't. And actually, I'm not that sure, but according to me, what till now what have used in practical world, and I haven't used ternary operator with an and or. And Amit, what do you say about this?
Yeah, I think you are right now because if you are using that operator
Hmm.
in ternary or method, so
Yes.
basically I think we get the compiler get confused over there because the symbol means different meaning in if you are using single and then it's a different meaning of over there. So I
Yeah,
think
you can use bitwise operator over there, but I haven't used this conditional operator over there.
I
So
have also not done
hmm,
this thing because basically I have used if else I am familiar with this now,
hmm.
so I cannot use basically ternary method. I'm comfortable with if else. So
Right. Okay, and Amit, can you tell me one thing? or guys, please, you also participate in this discussion. If you have just two options, you use Tenary, right? If you have two, three, then you use if else. But what if you are trying to create a grading system where like you have 90 to 100 in a O grade, then in a 80 to 90 you have A plus, then like that, 70 to 80 A minus. So when you're creating that whole grading system, what do you use?
Uh, Wait a minute. There's another question we will discuss on that topic. So,
Use
first of all,
actually it's
there's a
preferred to use
question.
Kotlin. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, yeah. Right now, I think day by day, just like Java was increasing their area, and I think they have also gone advanced. So, like that, Kotlin also is a better version of that Java. So you can use the Android with Kotlin as compared, because
See,
Java is a backend version. So basically, Kotlin is
exactly.
replacing because there is many functions which are inbuilt and easy to use.
Exactly, and because but if we see, and Kotlin is definitely preferred for Android development over Java. But see one thing, Java has plugins for Kotlin, right? And if I see in my IntelliJ ID, and IntelliJ ID has plugins for Maven, and it has plugins for GitHub, it has plugins for Kotlin as well, right? So first of all, you need to learn Java in order to excel in Android app development, because everything that you are seeing on your mobile right now, most of the apps are developed in Java, right? So that's why before hopping into Kotlin, first of all learn Java, and you can create applications from there only, right? You can use plugins in IntelliJ for Kotlin, and they have actually many plugins in terms of Maven, in terms of GitHub also. Acha, Amit, what compiler do you use? What IDE do you use for
Actually, I
Java?
have prefer Visual Studio Code. It's
Okay,
lightweight, and it's given me many things like Kotlin,
right.
connecting with Kotlin and other. But I also use
Mm,
that IntelliJ and other PyCharm for
right.
when I'm beginner. Then I am using that thing. But right now, when I will prefer to use Visual Studio as compared to that. For
And
Python, me I will also use
uh,
Jupyter
Jupyter, yeah, yes. Jupyter, Sublime,
because
they
it is
all are
lightweight.
great, and yes, and they all are great, and Sublime is also great for Python. But Amit, and I remember the time when I was learning Maven. So I used to use Eclipse just because had to build in Maven, and I had to configure it, and Eclipse has those Maven plugins. But now IntelliJ has all of these, so it's easier for us to not to switch compilers on compilers and IDs on IDs. Otherwise, there was
Yeah,
one IntelliJ running, there was one Eclipse running, all were
because
running
they
at the
are
same
all
time.
because they are also connected with each other, na? But there are difference between
Right,
the
right,
shortcut
right.
keys of that, not another thing.
Exactly,
So
exactly,
back to the
exactly.
question, Krishna. I think you have asked us one question.
Yes.
Guys, please respond in a comment section. Then then Krishna and me discuss about that.
Actually, and yeah, I'm seeing some responses. Exactly, Deepika and Priyanka. It would be switch case, right? And if you're using in a marks, or if you have multiple options, right? Then it's preferred to use switch cases. Great. Somebody is saying they use Eclipse too.
Okay. So
Amit is saying
one question from
virtual
my
same
side.
page.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a one question from my side for
Yes.
because I think we are using the switch statement. In which case, I think there are many cases where the switch statement is not using. Can you give
Okay.
an example of that? Can
Yes,
you give
definitely.
conditions where you cannot get this thing, and or you can use switch nested switch over there?
Uh, See, you can use nested switch, but nested switch would come in a little bit later on this lecture. And first of all, let's discuss about the basic switch case, right? And I should give you in a basic example, right? So just let me copy this code, because it's really difficult for me to write this code again, and it would just consume a lot of time. That's why I've uploaded all these codes on GitHub. You all can get these codes from GitHub, right? And the link I have just shared. Okay, and yeah, Amit, bring me on the show.
Yeah, yeah. Was
Okay,
thinking about it.
okay, and basically, when what this code is, basically this code tells you enter the week number and it tells you what day it is, right? So not putting much logic in this, but this is the basic in order to understand the switch case, right? And so if you're typing one, then Sunday prints. If you're typing two, then Monday, third Tuesday, fourth Wednesday, like that, right? So if you're using if else, right? Amit, is my screen visible? Because I can't see my screen right now.
Uh, yeah, right now I think it is visible.
Okay, 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 cool. So
Yeah, it is visible.
yes, 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 right. So like as I said, that you have multiple options over here. You have seven options, right? Seven weekdays and seven options. Plus you have a default option, right? So tell me what you would do if you're using if else. You would create seven if else block. And then all those block would acquire their own memory space, right? And you have to give all of them their own condition. It would just increase your length of code. Plus you would be tapping if else, if else, if else, if else all the time, right? So rather than doing that, we have introduced switch case, right? So let's open a presentation, and see, this is the diagram for switch case. There is the expression, right? And matches, then yes, the code block one runs and then it exits, right? If it doesn't, then
Krishna,
case two. Yes, yes,
uh,
yes, Amit.
this is not visible right now. Not clear. I think.
It's
Can
not
you
clear
zoom?
or it's not visible.
No, no, no. I think we zoom the pic because you are explaining that part, no?
I'm currently using presentation.
Then yeah, right now, yeah, this is fine. Bro, this is fine right now.
Sorry for sorry for the technical issues, guys. I really apologize for this. Okay, and let's go with the flow, right? Let's go with the flow. And in switch case, you have given an expression, right? If that now on that expression, if test case one matches, right? And let's assume it. And there are few test cases. There are few cases. One case matches, right? So and it would go to this code block right over here, code block one, and then it would run that code block, and then it would exit, right? It won't go to case number two, case number three, if you introduce a break statement over there, right? You have to introduce a break statement. So what is the basic syntax of this? We would come to that later. But see once, and in the test there are few test cases, and this one test case, if any of these are true, then it goes to that code block which has been assigned over there, and then it exits. But if none of these test cases are fulfilled, right, just like in else, right? If else, if else, if else, and then you write an else statement over there, right? So just like that, we have a default code block, right? You have to introduce a default code block in which, if none of the test cases are implemented, if none of the test cases matches, then this default code runs. Let's look at the syntax over here. Yes, so this is the basic syntax. You write the keyword switch. In Java, you have many keywords and a for, go to, for, and etc, etc, etc. So you have this keyword switch over here. So there's and then you write an expression in brackets, right? And then in parentheses, you have your cases, right? So all you have to do is assign like case one, right? And then the statement. Then you have case two, and then the statement. Then in a case three, case till n, and then there is the statement, and then there is a break in every case, right? Notice that I've used break, right? So it's important that you use break. If you don't, then it would keep running, and that's not that's not thing that we want. So and if any of these test cases are not satisfied, then we can go to default, right? Now let's move to a code. It's simple code. And basically, when you are going into real world, when you're going for internships, whether you are developing a product or for some company, you're not going to use this example. And you have to like use there won't be test cases where you have integer value, but there would be also be having test cases where there would be float values, there would be character values, right? So I have to tell you this here, that if you have JDK 7, right, that Java Development Kit 7, if you have downloaded that, or if you have downloaded any version before that, then you can't use character in a switch case. But if you have downloaded in a Java JDK version 7 or above 7, then it has given you this special feature that you have you can use characters and strings as test cases, right? So in case number one, it says if the input is 1, then it would print Sunday, and then it would break, right? And if and see that let's go from the beginning, right? And I'm sorry about that. And I have introduced a scanner class, right? A scanner class, and it has an object s, right? So and I have introduced a integer week, and in that week I'm demanding user to put some input, and I'm using that through s.nextInt, right? Then I have created a string day, right? In that day, and I would be assigning that to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday later. So case one, if the input is 1, then it would print Sunday, then it would break, and then case 2, Monday, break. So like that. But now if user prints some, if user tells you, let's say suppose 10, right? And you don't have any case for that. So you would say default, okay, invalid date, right? And I'm just printing this day over here. Right now, let's run this code in compiler. Let's run this. Right. So let's tell the user 5. The day is Thursday, right? Now let's test our default. Let's test 10. Then day is invalid, right? So as I told you, you should decide those test cases where you test your code, right? Then the number of inputs that a user can, the type of inputs that user can put, right? So there were basically two types. Well, if those cases are defined, if their code cases are not defined, right? So if cases are defined, I showed you the input, the certain test case which is related to that would get printed. If it is not, then default statement would be printed, that is the day is invalid, right? Okay, so I was talking about passing an integer or string, not string, right? So how you can do that, right? So let's again go to a GitHub, and over GitHub switch to, that's the example that I want. Yes. Yep. Now copy this on. Yes. So basically, what this is doing is it is giving telling me whether the certain name is what student lives, what city is a student lives, right? So before explaining you the code, let's first run this code. Okay, so it is demanding me the name, right? So let's say Amit. Amit lives in Haridwar, right? So
Krishna, can you please, sorry for
yeah,
interruption.
yeah, yeah.
So, can you show the code first in Notepad? Again, you are forget
Yes,
about.
I'm good. Yes, I'm going to show that code first, but let's understand the output first, right?
Okay.
Because see, in previous code, what we were doing is we were giving input as numbers only, right? So test cases were only numbers, but in this we are passing strings. So that development has been done since Java JDK and 7, right? And if you, so make sure that you are using JDK 7 or above, and just for good sakes, you make sure that you updated it. If you, the latest version comes, you update that. Okay, so this is your basic code, and again I have imported a package com.company. It's not necessary that you it's actually, you shouldn't use this package because it's only used in IntelliJ IDE. So if you're using in you're coding in Notepad, don't use it. I have imported a scanner class and a scanner package over here, and then I have created an object of this class, right? As simple as that. Now I have created a new string. How we create a string? It's just like a string, the name of the string, and then new string, right? So in switch case, I have created some cases, that is Amit, Akash, Prachi, Sarthak, and there is a default, right? So, I have to tell the user that Amit lives in Haridwar, Akash lives in Kanpur, Prachi lives in Dehradun, Sarthak lives in Meerut, right? So, if user prints any of these other things, then the system should say name is not in database. This actually happens in SBS servers and all those things, right? All the time that name is not in database, although we have inputted the database thousands of times. What that means is basically the connectivity is not good, right? So this is a basic thing, but talking about real life scenarios, if you are to create an application where you need to tell user give me this name, and basically gives a certain name to the compiler, and it shows which city the student lives in or what marks the student gets. You are not going to use switch case over there. You're going to use JDBC, but in a JDBC an advanced Java topic, we're going to cover that later on later sections, and about a week later, right? But for now we are using switch case, right? So don't get all tensed up, like oh, this is created in JDBC, why are we using this? No, don't be that overexcited guy, right, Amit? Was I wrong?
Yeah, Krishna, actually, I think
Yeah,
some of not knowing about why we are making a main class and why we are calling everything in main class. Can you explain that thing? Why we are basically
main
using main
okay,
class over here? Why we create
right, right.
we are also create a function and call them, but why we are not using this thing and we are using a main class? I think someone asked that question at first session. I think.
Okay,
So,
okay, okay.
and,
Okay, so actually, it's not about the main class; it's about the main method. See, in the IntelliJ IDE, you are forced to use the main method inside the main class, right? But if you're using Notepad, I can simply type anything over here, right? I can name the class anything, but what matters is main method. Why main method is so important? Why we code everything inside the main method? Because basically when you run the code, main method is the one that is run, right? In a run so basically like if you're creating any other method, if you're creating any other class, right, that is outside main, right, that won't be in a run first. The first the compiler go through main, and then if there is a reference to that, then it would switch to that class or that method, right? I hope, Amit, that I have resolved the issue.
yeah.
Okay, okay. And if so switch is basically done. If you have guys any issues, you can please ask.
I think they have.
It's clear. Okay, thanks, Deepika. Okay, so now let's move to no, first let's give you guys an assignment, right? You guys have to create a calculator using in a switch case, right? It's this simple assignment. I'm going to give you few 2 3 assignments today, and at the end of this in a live session, I'm going to explain each assignment one by one, right? Amit, we are already on 44 minutes live, and
Yeah,
we just have discussed 2 things, man.
yeah. Actually,
No issue. Let's not
I think
let's not rush, because when we're rushing now, we just don't are able to we're not able to grab things properly. We're not able to
so.
understand
If
things
the
properly.
session will take 15-20 minutes more, that's not the issue. I
That's
think
yeah, I guess that's an issue, right? So without wasting any time, let's move forward. We are using while now, right? While loop. So if you let's say that you have to print numbers 1 to 100, right? So what are you going to do? And type system dot out dot println 10 1 as like that? No, they are not going to write 10 lines of system dot out dot print. No, but let's see. And if you have a condition, right? And if you have a condition and there are multiple things done over there, so you're not going to use in a switch case. Switch cases would be, we would be writing a lot of cases over there, right? You're not going to use that. Or if you have you want to, let's say, create an array, and write an array, you want to give input. It'll be as basic as that. So you're not going to write for that every in a position. You're not going to assign a value over there, right? So you define a for loop over there, right? Like that we use loops. So let me just share my screen. But bring me on the front. Thanks. Thanks, man. Okay. So first of all, there are basically three types of loops: while, do while, and for. You're going to use for most of the time. You're going to use while sometime, and you'd be using do while not that much, right? So try to keep a focus on for loop. That's why I'm telling you guys, please stick till the end, because for loop is a really important one to explain, and I'm going to finish it in this live lecture only. So be with me, stick till the end, right? And as I said in previous lecture, that you need to create a flowchart. You need to create an algorithm, you need to create a flowchart, you need to create test cases, right? So when you're going for any company, or you are starting your own company, you're starting your own startup, right? So and you have to develop your product. So what we do is that we create this whole documentation, right? There's this documentation part before we start coding, and then before we code there's a design part. Basically this is just another software life in a time cycle, where you first of all do the documentation part, where you understand the needs, and where you do this algorithm, where you do this flowchart, where you decide the target audience. Then there is design, and then there is code, and then there is testing, right? So in that in a documentation part, this flowchart is important. You sometimes create the whole flowchart for the whole document, right? So that's why I'm focusing that you guys should know this flowchart. For a while, there is this flowchart where there is this condition. First of all, understand this syntax over here. The syntax is in a while, the keyword while, and then there is the condition in bracket, and then in parenthesis there is one statement, or there are two statements, three, many, right? It depends on the code. So if condition is true, then another parenthesis part would be executed. Otherwise, it would be not executed, right? If conditions false, it would just escape. It would just come out of the loop. So if you're like creating multiple statements, so whenever the condition becomes false, the it would just automatically come out of the loop. You don't need to use break. But if you need to you exit the you know condition or loop at some point of time, then use break statement, right? So in that, and there is this flowchart. While a is true, like, so do this and come to this condition. There is this condition where if it is false, then exit. If it is true, run this code block over here, right? If it is again true, again go to this condition and check this true, then again run this in a code block over here, right? So let's take an example. First, let go to my GitHub. You would find this example under lecture number 5. Under lecture number 5, there are a lot of assignments, and there are a lot of examples as well. So yeah, I want while loop. Yes, while loop over here. Just copy this and run it in your system. Don't copy this, write it in your system. Right. So in this program, what you have to do is you have to print numbers from 1 to 20 or 10. right? Let me just copy this over here as well so that you guys can see better, right? I have to print numbers from 10 to 20, right? If I'm using basic if I'm not using any loop, then what would I be doing? I would be typing system.out 10 times, but we don't want to do that, right? Who has time to print all that? I'm not that much active, I'm just lazy person who I can't type all that, right? So that's why I use while loop over here. So, basically what it does is, referring to the syntax only, the while, there is this keyword while, and then there is this condition over here. If x is less than 20, right? So I have defined x over here, which is int x equals to 10, right? So if x is equals to 10, then this condition automatically becomes true, right? So it would get into this statement, right? So in this statement, I have used system.out.print value of x, and then the value of x is printed. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm increasing the value of x by 1. Tell me one thing, guys. Why are we doing this? Why are we increasing value by 1? Tell me this one thing. What happens if I simply remove this? If I remove this x plus plus, what happens? You tell me that. I mean, do you know why in this happens? What would happen if I remove x plus plus condition over there? Amit, is my voice audible? Amit, what happened, guys? Uh,
Hello, hello. I think if you are not using the syntax x
mhm.
plus plus, then it did not increase any value. And again, when it check the condition, again and again, the whole condition get true, and it goes to infinite times. It run infinite times and do not
Exactly,
break any condition.
exactly. Acha, Deepika and Priyanka answered, these two are really active girls. Then only one value is printed, that is 10, and it's not incremented. That's true. But yes, one more thing would happen, that the loop would never go false, right? So if loop is never false, then it would run infinite numbers of time, right? First of all, let's run this loop over here. I didn't run this program in the first place. Right. So it's printing value from 10 to 19 and not 20, because and I haven't said x equal to less than equal to 20. So it's printing till 19. It's like that. But if I remove this now, if I remove this x, it would, what would happen is it would print x in the value 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It would do that. See, right? So now let's stop this. Let's not run this infinite times. The thought of running infinite makes me sick. All right. So, I hope this is clear. This is the basics of while loop. And if you guys have any doubt, please ask. Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. Uh, so and then now next thing is do while, right? So what notice one thing in while was that we were giving condition first and then there was state, right? So we were, it's just like your parents ordering you in your childhood that do this job first, only then you would get ice cream, right? Do this chore first, then only you would get ice cream, right? But it's totally different in a do while, right? So it is like, the statement is given first and then there is the condition. So it's like, you have been given ice cream first and then your parents are telling you to do this chore. It wouldn't it be wonderful if that happened? I wonder sometimes. Right. So, this is the basics. This is the basic syntax of do while. There is a, first keyword do, right, and there is nothing after that. But if you are using just one statement, there's no need of parentheses. But if you're using multiple statements, then it's preferred that you use parentheses. Actually, you should encode that and put that in parentheses so that the compiler knows that it is the do while block, or it's the while block, or it's the for loop block, right? So in a while condition, so there is this statement, right, and then there is this condition, right, and that is after, and that is enclosed by a semicolon, right. So if condition is true, then it would execute, and if condition is false, then again it would come out of the loop. Let's look at the flowchart first. So again, if do condition is true, it would run the code. If it is false, it would come out. It's same as that. Just the basic structure has changed. And you look at this structure, and you understand this. Now let's take an example. There are a lot of examples over on my GitHub, and it's you can just go and check some examples. It would be really helpful for. Okay. Right. So this is the basic, and just like in previous example where we were printing from 10 to 29, 10 to 19. In this example, we are going to print 1 to 10, right? So, let me just create here also. Remove this package.com.company. Right. So, in this code, you are ordering that first print and increase, then check the condition, right? So, if I run this code, what would happen is it would print from 1 to 10. You see, it's printing from 1 to 10, right? Okay, let's take another example of do while. Right. And here I have, here's something new for you. And if you're a beginner, I have used a random class, right? There is one class and one package that is being defined in the Java itself, that is random. First of all, you have to import the package. Just like scanner, you have to import the package that is java.util.random. What it does is, what this class does is, it randomly gives you input, right? Rather than asking input from user, it randomly gives input. So again, defining class just like scanner, that is the class name, that is random, and then the object name, that is R. And you can use anything over here. New random. Now notice one difference, that is in a scanner you are using in a system.in in the bracket, but we are not using that in random. But like in a let's use it, and let's go to the do in a statements. So in do, you are giving some inputs, right? So that in a some statements. So a, I have defined an integer a, right? I'm saying that get random inputs, but those all should be under 100, right? And print that, right? So now it would print, but if I don't give it any condition, it would run endlessly. It would just print thousands of numbers without anything. It lacks, it won't stop, right? But if I use while, right, and I give a condition over here that a should be less than 10. So now it would only print under 10. Whenever the random number gives a value above 10, then this loop will exit. Now let's run this code. Okay. I have to define package first. Cool. Now run this code. You see, it was totally random. First of all, it printed 36, 53. Wait, why it is printing 36? Shouldn't print 36. Okay, no, bound is 10. What bound is 100? I mean, tell me one thing. Why is it printing 36 or 53? You should
But
be printing only 10, no? It should be printing on under 10. Why it is printing 36 and 53?
okay, why is printing under 10? Okay, wait a minute. You are using some random function over there.
Yes,
So the while condition, do while condition is not checking. It print first, then it check the condition. So when
exactly.
the number is passing over here, then it first print that number and then check the condition. If condition false, that's not issue for this one. It will print the first, then check the condition, and after it also increase the number or if you which you want over there, and also print the then first. After that, it check the condition.
Let's run this code again. What do you see? In last code, there were only three in a print statements, but in this, there are thousand. There are a lot of. But why? Again, the reason was same as I told, because in a way, and it's first of all in a printing, then it's going to the input, then it's going for the condition, right? Okay, and I had some good example for you for while loop, right? So yes, this one. Okay, let's take this while loop example later. But let's go for for loop first, right? If you guys have any question, you can ask.
I think Krishna, we will discuss about difference main difference between while and do while or for loop because you are not teach about that for loop, no? But if you are
Yes,
teach about that do while and while, then what is the difference between do and while with an example where the do while is best to use and where the while do while is best to use. While or do while is where they
wait.
are having a
First,
equal importance. Na, I think it is equal important in every, not in everywhere, but specific positions. So, can you give an example of that do while and while in a real
first
life?
of all, yes, yes, yes. And first of all, let's complete this for loop. Then I'm going to tell you why and when you should use while and do while or for. Who's
Okay.
even calling? Yeah, right. So nice, Amit. No, actually, Priyanka, there is a boundary condition. That is what I have defined over here. That the boundary condition comes when you are giving the input and when you're assigning that in a random to a variable, right? So, like in this a equals to r dot next int, and I have given boundary condition 100, right? So that is why it's printing 100 values up to 100. So this is the boundary condition. You can use 1,000, 10,000, lakh, anything, right? Okay, and so let's move to another example. Or, sorry, the for loop. Let's move to the for loop, right? So for loop is the one that is being most used, right? Now, like it's just like Apple and Microsoft and sorry, I'm not going to give that example over here. So and yeah, for loop is one that is used the most and over here because like the for loop is the one that where you have a lot of freedom and where you can do a lot of things, right? While and do while have some restrictions over here, but for loop is completely free. That's why people programmers prefer for loop over any other loop, right? So and understand this in a flowchart over here. That is first of all it is initialized. The loop is initialized. How is initialized? I'm going to tell you in the syntax. And basically a condition is given, right? So the loop is first of all initialized. Then if the condition is true, there is one condition, right? If the condition is true, it goes to the statement, and then there is an updation, right? So and after updation, it again go to the condition. If it is true, then again do the statement. If it is false, then exit, right? So there's this, but now let's look at the syntax. Okay, so syntax is for start, condition, iteration, right? Start is this in a thing that we just discussed over here, initialization. That this is the start, right? Basically call it initialization. The loop is initialized, right? So basically here you have to tell the command from that, okay, and this is where my loop is going to begin, right? This is the starting point for my loop. Now and you have to give it the condition. So if that condition is true, then you go to the loop, or if that condition is false, it switches out. Right now, iteration. Now, if that the condition is true, that in a start in a loop has started, your condition is true. Now you have to increase it, right? So, you have to increase the value of I if you're using I or any other variable that you use, right? So this is the basic syntax of for loop. Now let's take an example. Let's take this example. Go ahead. Okay, and print this. So basically, just like we did in do while, we are using for a for loop here, and I see the one, and it's printing 1 to 10, right? Acha, and Amit, you were saying that comparison between loops, and guys, look at one thing. In do while, the line of code were long, right? We were using about I don't know how many, but yeah, we were the lines of code were little bit long for us, about 22 lines, right? No, it was this code 16 lines, right? But now it's just reduced to 14 lines. So this is also one difference, right? Again, if more differences would come, I would tell you guys. Now here I have created a integer value I, right? I have started it from 1, right? I can use any number, but I have here started it from 1. Now it has to be less than or equal to 10, right? Now it is using plus I. Acha, and important thing over here. In previous lecture, I told you the difference between I plus plus and plus I, right? So here in loops, it doesn't matter which you use, I plus plus or plus I, prefix or postfix. It doesn't matter. It essentially gives you the same output, but in a system.out.print, when you're printing it, and it basically differs there. Basically, in a plus I plus plus is it uses first and then it increases, but here it increases first and then uses, right? So but the output is not going to be affected. Let me show you. See, the output wasn't affected, right? So it doesn't matter if you use I plus plus or plus I, it's both are completely same, right? So now coming to the for loop, I have given it a starting point, I have given it a condition, I have increased its value, right? Now it's time for the statement, right? So I am ordering to print the value of I every time it does, right? So I'm printing this value. Acha, told you that you don't need to put that in parentheses if you're using just one line. Let's test it. Let's test it, right? So now I don't have to do this, and the code would still run, no error over it, right? Now you guys can see better, right? So again, I plus plus or plus I, it doesn't matter, both are same. And if you use parentheses, then it's okay to use parentheses for one line statement, but it would be necessarily increasing the line of code. And but if you're using, if you're having multiple line of statements, then definitely use parentheses. It's better for your code design as well, right? So let's take another example for loop. Let's take this example. So basically, what this code is doing is it is in a running code from 1 to 1000, and then it is adding all the numbers together, right? It is adding numbers from 1 to 1000. right? So let's run this code. See, it's printing this value sum. Now, how I did that? I have initialized a integer I, right? I'm initializing it inside the for loop. So you can do that also. It's completely fine. Or you can create another line of code where you use an int I, right? So it's totally up to you. But in real world, it's preferred that you minimize the line of code, because the how much you minimize the line of code, is better your software would be in terms of finance as well. So that is the thing that you're going to learn later in your software development life cycle, if you're a CS student, or if you would learn in DevOps, right? So the for loop is initialized, right? And I'm creating this statement over here, sum plus equals to I, right? So basically it is sum equals to sum plus I, and this is the short form of writing this in a line, right? And I have initialized some already a zero over here. You can or you cannot, but I guess it would give you an error if you don't. So let's see. It basically tells me in IntelliJ that you haven't initialized. See, it's giving me an error that I haven't initialized the variable sum, right? So it's better that you initialize it first. I don't know about other compilers, but it sure gives error in mine. Right. So, I guess this was basics about loops and for loop. Let's take another example for loop, because for loop is really important, and you guys should practice for loop a lot. Okay, this is one complex one, little bit complex, not that much. Okay, so this program is basically telling whether the number given is palindrome or not, right? So this is the program that you're going to be taught in your colleges or in your school or in other any coaching institute for coding, right? So how we are going to create this program is quite simple. First of all, create a string original, right? And then create a string and make sure it's empty. Reverse create a string and make sure it's empty, right? I'm going to tell you that later and why it's empty. Now scanner, again, and I introduce a scanner. I don't want in, I want s. In is confusing, so let's put s over here,
Krishna,
right? Yes.
can you copy the code and create your
Oh yeah, yeah,
note?
sorry, I forget all the time. Yeah. Yes. Okay, is that visible now?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Cool. So, first of all, there is a scanner class. There is a scanner object, right? It is basically scanning to whatever I'm going to send it. I'm going to assign it to a string. The string is original, right? So, I have taken input of this string original from command line, right? So, s dot next line. For integer, we use and next int. For in a string, we are using next line, right? So, and first read this in a string over here. Now get the length of this string, right? So for length of this string, we are using int length original dot length, right? And this is going to store the value of the length of this string to this integer length, right? Now make run this, and I've initialized this length from -1, right? So suppose our string is Krishan, right? Krishan has 7 characters. So 7 characters, and it would begin from 6. There won't be the seventh. The n won't be the seventh character. It will be 6, because the string starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So that's why I have used length -1 int I. There's an integer I, and it has the value n length -1. Right? Now I has to be greater than or equal to 0. That is my condition, and I value should be decreasing, right? It should keep on decreasing. Now I'm giving the reverse something, right? So for that I'm using reverse, that is a string, reverse dot original dot char at, right? And now if this reverse is equal to my original, then do one thing, print this statement, right? If when this is true, then print this statement, else print this statement, right? So here what I'm doing is I'm using a if else inside for, right? So try to understand this. This you're going to use this all the time. You're going to use nested for loop, you're going to use if else into for loop, and you're going to use a lot of stuff over there, but that all comes with practice. So make sure that you're practicing a lot. And in my beginning time, I was practicing about I was coding about 3 to 4 hours daily, right? So make sure that you do that. And at least 1 hour daily you should give to programming. So this is the basic code, and this is basically telling if the number is palindrome or not. Now, many of you would say that we have methods for that, right? So one thing, and I'm using reverse. I'm using this in a line over here to reverse the string. But many of you would say that we have methods for that. But no, we can't use that methods directly to string. Basically, what it is, we have a mutable string in Java. This in a string in Java cannot be changed, right? But we have mutable string over in Java that can be changed. So first of all, we have to convert string into a mutable string. Then you can use reverse function, reverse method over here. Now let's simply run this code. It's asking me for a number. Let's say pop, right? This string is palindrome, right? Now let's type Amit, right? It's saying string is in palindrome. So this is what this program does, and make sure that you practice it well. I guess that is for the live session today. Now I'm talking about your assignments, right? From the beginning, I'm
Wait
sharing a
a
couple
minute,
of
Krishna.
assignments.
I think there's a question from Karthik.
Okay, okay, okay. Again, what is the question? Please dictate to me. I'm not able to see questions.
Okay, how will we decided where to
Yep.
use which loops?
Right, 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 right.
How will we
So
decided where we use?
yes, 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 yes. Okay, no need to scream. I saw it here. Actually, I'm using a laptop and a computer simultaneously, so it's hard to in a laptop to load commands one by one, right? So yes, so basically when you're using for loop, you use for loop when you know, yes, okay, and I know this much time the loop has to run n number of times, suppose 10. So when you know that loop has to run 10 times though, so you use for loop, right? But if you are using if you just want to read a variable, or if you want to do something like that, then you use while loop, right? And do while we hardly use, we don't use do while that much. And but basically you just saw that do while was increasing the line of codes. And all at any cost we prevent that on in real world scenarios. When you're going for internships, or going for projects, we're going to real companies, then we prevent using do while loop. And because it unnecessarily increasing the line of code, basically we don't increase the line of code too much. What do you say, Amit? What
Yeah,
loop do you what loop do you prefer?
basically in Python, yeah, basically I am using in Python. So at that place, no, for loop have their own positions and while loop have their own position, because there is some difference between their indentation and another thing. So they have a
Right,
index for loop using index value, and at that time while loop is not using. So when I want to try the condition, run a condition again and again, so I will prefer to use while loop. And if I will be taking some value from any data, or fetch the data from anywhere, so I will prefer to for loop, because it helps me
right.
in indexing the value, get the value.
This same thing happens in Java as well, no? And like I said that you use while loop when an incrementing value is not standard, right? So that's why you use while loop. Acha, and one thing I forgot to tell you guys. Let me just share my screen. Tell me one thing.
Uh, um,
For no, do one thing. Yeah. What would be output of this? Okay, and I am seeing another in a question from Karthik Joshi. Why doesn't it matter if we use I plus plus or plus plus I? See, in a acha, let me give you a real life example. Hmm, what example can I give? Yes, and suppose you have to eat your noodles with a fork, right? So now you have two options, and you have to count the number of teeth that the fork has. So what you do before eating, one, two, three, four, cool. Now eat, right? Or you would eat first, or one, two, three, four, right? In both scenarios, is the output changing? Right? So concepts are definitely different. I plus plus and plus plus I do both are different things, but see one thing, that output doesn't changes, right? So that is the difference. And for only loops, I'm talking about only loops for now, right? If you're using the basic system dot out for testing I plus plus or in postfix or in a prefix, then the output definitely differs, but in loops it doesn't. So that's why when you're using the basic loop, and this doesn't matter, right? But if you're using maybe in some advanced programs, I've seen some advanced programs where you have to like change this value, but that's not coming anytime soon. So that's way far beyond, right? Acha, tell me Amit, tell me the output of this.
okay, wait a minute. As I said this. Okay, I think it's only run and there's no output over there. Blank, I think.
Right, let's run this.
Yeah, I think blank because it certifies the syntax. There's no error. But what's
There
about?
is no error. There is an error,
Yeah, okay. Got.
right?
Okay.
Let's see what would be the error in legal start of statement. Yes, because there is no statement, right? If there is no statement, what for loop do? So if you're not defining any statement, then you definitely can't run the statement, right? You definitely can't run the code, and it would definitely show you an error, right? So in loops, make sure that you have a statement over there, right? Anything. So yeah, and let's declare a statement right here over here. Let's declare uh, I equal to 10, and I'm going to declare I over here, int I, right? Now let's run this code. Now let's see what would happen. It's nothing happened. Amit, any guesses why this happened?
Yeah, because you have given the initial value, but you have not given the condition where it will be stopped or where it will increasing that value or not.
Exactly,
So it's not giving anything.
exactly, exactly, because there is no condition given, right? And
Yeah.
so, and if you guys have any other doubt, please ask. And
I
yeah, I
think
have
you are
to share.
telling one thing, difference
Yeah,
between do while and while loop and while do while and for loop. A main
I just
difference.
said.
I think you forgot
Nahin,
about main difference.
acha, maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe you
You're
have
saying that
something on
na,
your
you
mind.
will discuss that topic after.
Yeah, tell me something. What you have? Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what you
Yeah,
have.
I am saying that in I think in do while loop and in for loop
Yeah,
and while loop. The for loop and
yeah,
while loop is same in running the syntax and check the condition over there. But in do while
hmm,
loop, we have advantages for running one more statement. So if you are if you are want to print something which it's wrong or anything, then you will use do while to in preference of that. For example,
right,
if you want to print any number from 1 to
right,
100, and at
right,
that condition you have giving 100 less than 100. but you cannot get the number over there. But in do while, if you are using this thing, then you definitely get that full from 1 to 100. So it's a basic.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I forgot that main difference. हो जाता है कभी कभी हो जाता है.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but I will.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I apologize for that, and that difference was actually correct. Yeah, that does it. Right. So, and I was talking about assignments. Yes, and I would be sharing assignments on group, and because it's difficult for you guys to see over here, and I would be sharing all assignments in group right now. Make sure you do that. You upload it on your GitHub. You are practicing well, right? So I guess the session has been gone for very long. Amit, what do you say?
Yeah, yeah. We have not seen the time. We have covered it over the 1.5 hour, and we have
Yeah,
think about that. We cover it in 1 hour. But
right.
as you are explaining and your explanation is like we are not thinking about the time at that time. You are giving us such a beautiful examples and uh, that thing. Thank you, sir, Krishna sir. So
Thank you so much Amit, for this
we'll
opportunity.
wind up the session right now, and I think we will be giving a short video about the assignment posted over our YouTube channel. Uh, if you are comfortable for that, because there's not a lot of time of for us, so we will
Hmm.
post a video of about assignment explaining of the code and everything over there after half of session get overs, like we are doing so third, it is our third session. So we are thinking that now we are continuously taking sessions. So at I think after this after third session third again after that we have taken three sessions, and then we will post that because we have covered it at the half part of our Java. So this
Right.
helps
Okay.
them in many ways.
Cool. Even these guys can find solutions on GitHub, and actually it would be better than that these guys find the solution, right? Because and they put their head into this, because like today what I saw in the quiz was majority of questions were wrong, and we took quiz today, and so if you didn't participate in that, make sure that you are participating well, and a lot of fun was there, and 15 people scored full marks, so that's really great, and that's really appreciated. People are really talented in a community, Amit. So
Yeah, but
and
actually, I think
they were,
they are using again and again that quiz. So,
don't
but
do that, don't do that, yaar. That's
but they are get
dishonesty.
something
That's
over
dishonesty.
there. Yeah, but they will get something from there. They have many good
Yes.
questions over there, some logicals
Mm,
and some output questions over there. So it's good to participate in that quiz. And I
right.
think after the ending of the session, whole course of our session, we are also providing some event for that. We are preparing for this thing. If you are doing well, then we also uh, think about that. We are thinking that we are taking an event for this Java class, which we have covered in this session. Whole. What you say? What you said? Keshav?
Yes,
Oh,
Amit.
right.
And it's
Krishna.
great. And when I keep participating, and that is how you're going to get your excellence certificate. Top 10 and people are going to get the excellence certificate. So and make sure that you are participating well, right? So and okay, and I guess that's it. And all the best for you guys. I'm going to send assignments in the group now. And okay,
Yeah.
heads off.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm off, Amit. I'm off. Amit. Bye.
Okay.